Welcome to a video of Dvar Torah for Parshat Re'eh. In Parshat Re'eh, we get the mitzvah of tzedakah. And the mitzvah of tzedakah is both a complicated and important mitzvah, which is presented many times in the Torah. One of the mitzvot, perhaps the earliest presentation of it, is to give people loans. And that's actually the highest form of tzedakah. The next highest form of tzedakah is what Maimonides will call giving in secret, matan beseter. This is a very interesting thing I saw when I once traveled to a synagogue. This is the giving in secret, and this is very much how the discretionary fund works. That you put money in, and it's after what you see on the wall, you don't know essentially where it goes. It's a funny term, the rabbi's discretionary fund, because what does that mean? It means it's at the rabbi's discretion if he decides that he wants to use it to take a vacation. No, that's not. It means that it's at the rabbi's discretion to whom it is given, and it is otherwise invisible to the donors where it goes. And the instructions of the Torah are in a sense both realistic and daunting, because first of all, we're told that if someone should ask, you cannot turn them away. You cannot show that you have a hard heart or that you are not of a giving person. It uses terms that are quite harsh for people who refuse to give tzedakah. The Torah will actually say, "Hishamer lecha," be very careful. Pen ye davar im levavacha bli'al, lest you have an evil inclination in your heart. Lemor, saying, Karva shnat hasheva shnat hashmita, the seventh year is coming. V'ra'aynecha ba'achicha havyon, and you see the poor and destitute. V'lo titein lo, and you don't give him. V'kara elecha el Hashem v'yaba chachet, and he calls out to God, and he causes you to have a sin. Here, the context is the sabbatical year is coming. Debts are going to be released. People may have to go into a year where there's less crop production. So, you're going into a storm, an economic storm. I don't want to give charity. And then the poor person is going to say, Hashem, I go to the people who have, and they don't give me. And that will put you in a difficult position. The essence here, though, is the Torah is saying that there is something evil about not sharing when you're asked. So that's daunting on the one hand. The other piece of it is daunting, is that the Torah says that you shall give de machsaro achsher yachsarlo, according to the loss of the person. So someone who's wealthy, someone who's making $500,000 a year becomes destitute, you have to help him with his mortgage payment. That could be a very hefty sum. You have to help him with his car payment. Maybe he's not driving a cheap model Toyota. Maybe he's driving something more expensive, or she's driving something more expensive. So this problem of de machsaro has been a very challenging one for rabbis to figure out how exactly it's applied. How do you really apply this idea of paying charity to someone according to his loss? We have people who are starving, people who are almost close to eviction. How do we handle that? And so the answer is that this becomes a priority, but not a universality. In other words, we can't always fund people to stay in their station. But the Torah is telling us that there's a priority to preserve someone's emotional state of well-being. That the idea of being knocked out of your social group can be a very devastating one. And that the Torah wants us to do everything we can to keep people emotionally whole at the same time. This creates a lot of challenge in administering the discretionary fund. I just figured this is a good way and time for me to tell you exactly how we manage things. We try to address two different kinds of areas, each one in a different camp. One is basic needs. There's some people who can, especially in Vancouver, who cannot make their shelter costs, their cost of housing. And we try and make sure that people don't get evicted, that people don't have insecurity vis-a-vis their housing. Because I was taught early on in my career that once someone becomes homeless, it's much harder to house them. And I think that's probably even more true in Vancouver. Second space in which we operate is things that I think are definitional to living in this community. So if, let's say, for example, someone has trouble affording sending someone to summer camp, we will try and give money to that, because it's a very hard thing to be a Jewish parent in this community and not be able to afford to send your child to camp. And so that is something which is very, very challenging. And so we try and give support for that at the same time. It's our way of balancing. We can't turn away the poor, and as well that we have to also deal with the issue of de machzero, that we have to help, at least I take this in spirit, we have to help see if we can support our community so that people can be whole as parents, hang their heads high in this community and be able to afford their children those things which are most important to them. That's a little tidbit. If you want to give to the discretionary fund, that's always a big help. We certainly need every dollar we can get. And I thank the whole community for being so generous and supportive these many years.